A gust of winds, a hat blown off, and a moment of pure surprise that left the world stunned. When you think of the solemn duties of the U.S. Marine Corps, do you imagine a scenario where the Commander-in-Chief of the United States is chasing after a runaway hat? Probably not. But today, we bring you a true story, one that's equal parts humorous, touching, and deeply meaningful. An act as seemingly simple as President Trump retrieving a hat left millions astonished, transforming a minor mishap into a symbol of humanity and respect. But what exactly happened on that extraordinary day? Ethan, the young Marine who found himself at the heart of the story, could never have imagined what unfolded in that moment. Stay with us until the end of the video to uncover this dramatic tale, a story where compassion and duty intersect in an unforgettable way. Are you ready? On a quiet morning, Private Ethan was standing guard when an unexpected gust of wind swept his hat away. Despite the tense situation, there was nothing Ethan could do but watch it tumble behind him. What happened next left him utterly stunned. In an unexpected turn of events, President Trump stepped in, bent down, and picked up the hat. The young Marine was left bewildered, unable to believe what was unfolding before his eyes. Ethan had dreamed of moments like this, but never imagined they'd come in such an unexpected way. The sudden chill of the wind caught Ethan off guard, sending his hat flying. Though he tried to remain composed, the moment spiraled beyond his control. His heart pounded in his chest, threatening to burst. The president was approaching, and for a split second, Ethan felt like all hope was lost. Frozen in place, he couldn't move, couldn't act. He could only stand there staring as his hat tumbled across the ground. A flood of emotions rushed through him. This was a moment he had long awaited. Yet now all his dreams of a military career felt like they were unraveling into a terrible nightmare. In that instant, the image of his father, a Vietnam War veteran, flashed in his mind. His father had always told him that being a soldier wasn't always as glorious as the stories made it seem, but it was a noble profession where one could give everything for their country. With the pride of a Marine, Ethan had chosen this path, overcoming countless challenges and training rigorously. Ever since he was a young boy growing up in a small town in Nebraska, where he idolized the soldiers who came before him, Ethan had worked tirelessly. From his high school ROTC days to joining the Marine Corps right after graduation, he had promised himself to serve his country with excellence, following in the footsteps of his grandfather, a World War II veteran, and his father, who had taught him about courage and sacrifice. But now, as he stood in this impossible moment, it felt like all his efforts were unraveling into nothingness. Private Daniel, Ethan's steadfast companion, stood nearby, trying to maintain his composure despite the turmoil within. They had endured grueling months of training together, and now they faced an unprecedentedly tense situation. Neither could have imagined, at that moment, all the lessons in discipline, patience, and years of preparation seemed insufficient to help Ethan navigate this ordeal. As President Trump approached, Ethan could feel the tension thick in the air as though everything had frozen, waiting for something monumental to unfold. He had no idea what would happen next. But in that instant, all he wanted was for the moment to pass quickly. This moment would become an unimaginable shock, a story no one could forget. It spread like wildfire, compelling people to reflect on their beliefs, their hopes, and the sacrifices every soldier is prepared to make for their country. For Ethan, his family legacy was anything but simple. Choosing to join the military was a challenging decision. While his mother was immensely proud of her son, she couldn't help but worry about the dangers he might face. She understood that a soldier's path was far from easy, but her love and pride for her country kept her from standing in the way of Ethan's dream. His father, a Vietnam War veteran, shared her concerns, but deeply understood the sacred call Ethan felt and fully supported his decision. He knew this was Ethan's path to walk, no matter how arduous it might be. The day Ethan left home for boot camp was a day filled with mixed emotions. To his mother, it was a bittersweet moment, brimming with pride and marked by tears of anxiety. She hoped for his safety, but knew there was no turning back once he chose this road. His father, though silent, conveyed a deep understanding and recognition of Ethan's determination. In his eyes, a reflection of the same resolve he had once felt. Boot camp was a transformative chapter in Ethan's life. The freezing mornings, grueling physical drills, sleepless nights spent studying theory and practicing combat all posed challenges far beyond his imagination. He mastered numerous weapons, honed hand-to-hand combat techniques, and learned the value of teamwork and camaraderie among soldiers. But above all, what set Ethan apart was his meticulous attention to detail and unyielding commitment to responsibility. He aspired to be not just a good soldier, but an exceptional one, capable of accomplishing critical missions entrusted to him by his country. From the start of his career, Ethan earned accolades and rapid promotions. His first deployment to a volatile conflict zone tested him in ways he had never envisioned. Under fire, Ethan proved his mettle. During an intense ambush, he not only safeguarded his own life, but also saved several fellow Marines. His bravery and relentless fighting spirit did not go unnoticed. Although he was commended and celebrated for his heroics, Ethan remained as humble as ever. To him, fame was secondary. His priority was serving his country, protecting his comrades, and fulfilling his duty as a soldier. Even with recognition, Ethan refused to rest on his laurels. He was not one to be easily satisfied with past achievements. He constantly sought new missions, harder challenges, and opportunities to push himself further. This relentless drive to prove himself propelled him forward like a wave that never ceased. Finally, the moment Ethan had always dreamed of arrived. He was assigned what he considered the most important mission of his life. This was not just an opportunity, but the ultimate test he had been waiting for. And no matter how daunting it might be, Ethan knew it was his time to rise once again. Ethan had always dreamed of undertaking a special mission, but he never thought he'd have the chance to experience one so personally. One evening, as he sat on his bed in his small room, an unexpected call from his commander changed everything. He heard a knock at the door, followed by a stern voice from outside. "Private Ethan, report to the office immediately." Ethan's heart raced. He leaped to his feet, a surge of anticipation coursing through him. He couldn't stop imagining the possibilities this mission might bring. Would he be sent to a distant forest, or perhaps back to the unforgiving desert? He had faced countless dangerous and challenging missions, but he had never felt quite like this. A mixture of fear and excitement consumed him as he stepped into the office. His commander, known for being strict and unyielding, looked at him intently. A heavy silence filled the room, making time seem to stretch. The commander cleared his throat and, without hesitation, said, "Private Ethan, you have been chosen for a special mission." The words made Ethan's heart skip a beat. His eyes widened in disbelief. While he had participated in many significant missions, this moment felt like a chance unlike any other. As the commander continued to explain, the pieces began falling into place in Ethan's mind. He started to realize that this mission would bring him the glory he had dreamed of for years. Being tasked with protecting the president during a major event was something he had never dared to imagine. "You will be responsible for safeguarding the president at Joint Base Andrews in Germany during the G20 summit," the commander announced, pausing briefly to let the weight of his words sink in. A wave of elation swept over Ethan. Joint Base Andrews, a place many could only dream of setting foot in, would now be where he carried out this crucial mission. It was an honor, a responsibility of the highest order, and for Ethan, it was the dream of a lifetime coming true. Yet, at that very moment, he also understood that this mission demanded not only exceptional military skill, but absolute trust. The weight of the responsibility pressed down on him, but nothing could diminish the pride burning within. When his teammates learned about the assignment, they immediately started teasing him. His close friends joked that Ethan would need to be extra careful not to forget part of his uniform or show up with toothpaste on his face. But Ethan couldn't help but laugh. His comrades, always lighthearted, knew this mission marked a turning point in his career. Beneath their jokes, they couldn't hide their admiration for him. Despite the playful banter, Ethan couldn't shake thoughts of the monumental task ahead. He knew that meticulous preparation would be key, and he wouldn't allow any mistakes. He was ready for this challenge. The dream of becoming one of the nation's most trusted protectors was within his grasp, and Ethan understood this was the opportunity he had waited for his entire life. With pride and determination, Ethan began preparing for his mission. Every step he took was a reminder that this was his chance to not only serve his country, but to prove to the world and himself that he could face and overcome any obstacle. It was all in good fun, yet deep in his heart, Ethan couldn't ignore a faint, lingering fear. He knew that this high-stakes mission left no room for error, not even the smallest misstep. Every second could be critical. This fear clung to him, a constant reminder that perfection in his work wasn't just a goal, but a necessity. To earn this opportunity, Ethan had worked tirelessly, dedicating countless hours to preparation, ensuring every detail, from his uniform to his demeanor, was flawless. He understood that even the slightest mistake could undo all his efforts. The process of evaluation and selection for this prestigious mission was exceptionally rigorous. Ethan had to undergo a series of physical fitness tests, psychological evaluations, and uncompromising background checks. Every quality, every bit of dedication, and every skill he had demonstrated throughout his service played a critical role in earning him this position. Each commendation and recognition from his superiors stood as a testament to his relentless efforts. When the official notification reached Ethan, a wave of pride surged through him, but it was accompanied by a profound sense of responsibility. This was not just a personal honor, but also a source of pride for his family. He quickly called his mother and father. Hearing his father's proud voice, Ethan felt a deep joy in the man he had always admired. His father, who had always taught him that serving one's country was the highest honor, now acknowledged his son's achievement. His mother, while proud of her son, couldn't hide the worry in her voice. She understood that such an important mission came with unforeseen dangers. Having watched her son grow into a strong and capable man, she had spent countless days fearing for his safety, especially knowing the perilous path Ethan had chosen. One day, as an unusually strong wind swept through Joint Base Andrews, Ethan stood firm and resolute. Air Force One was ready, its engines roaring, filling the air with anticipation. Everyone knew that in just moments, the president would appear. Ethan could feel the tension in the atmosphere in every deliberate step he took. He was ready. The air around him seemed to thicken, and the faint sighs of the soldiers beside him reflected the collective anticipation. Everyone awaited the historic moment when the presidential motorcade would arrive, and Ethan would lead the president to the waiting aircraft. This moment was not just the beginning of a critical mission, but also a turning point in Ethan's career. Despite the gusting winds whipping across the runway, the tension in the air could not shake Ethan's resolve. He fully understood the gravity of this mission. Every step and every action had to exemplify responsibility, loyalty, and the capability of a soldier. For Ethan, this was the moment he had always dreamed of, a chance to stand strong and protect the nation's leader, not just with physical strength, but with an unwavering belief in his duty. That day, nothing seemed to go as planned. As the president's plane prepared to land, the Marines were tasked with ensuring his safety. Ethan, stationed precisely at his post, stood as vigilant as a shadow amidst the crowd. The winds had grown stronger, sweeping across the tarmac and creating an atmosphere of unease among everyone present. Yet for Ethan, the winds were nothing more than a challenge he had been trained to endure. He had faced relentless desert sandstorms and battering gales, and this was no different. He had been through too many trials to let these conditions faze him. His eyes stayed fixed on the runway, where the sleek black cars of the motorcade raced toward the plane. His heart pounded, but his focus never wavered. No gust of wind, no external force could break his concentration. He stood there as solid as a stone, his senses honed solely on the advancing vehicles. Everything around him seemed to slow down, and his attention zeroed in on the president's imminent arrival. Suddenly, the motorcade came to a stop, and the president's security team stepped out. Following them was the president himself, a man Ethan had heard of countless times but never imagined meeting in person. As the president spoke to his aide, a fierce gust of wind unexpectedly swept through, pushing them slightly backward. Ethan could not have predicted what happened next, a sudden, unforeseen event that sent his thoughts spiraling. A particularly strong gust tore Ethan's hat off his head, sending it tumbling across the ground, right into the president's path. Ethan's heart stopped. It felt as though the world was collapsing around him. He couldn't move. He couldn't act. If he flinched, it could be seen as disrespectful, a grave breach of protocol. But if he stayed still, the hat lying in the president's path would be an embarrassment he might never recover from. Ethan wanted to shrink into the ground, to disappear entirely. But he remained frozen, holding his posture, maintaining the rigid demeanor of a soldier. Even as shame churned like a storm inside him, he braced himself for the fallout. Perhaps a public reprimand, or the silent judgment in the eyes of those around him would crush his spirit. But then the unimaginable happened, something Ethan could never have foreseen. The president, instead of continuing forward, paused, breaking away from his entourage. He bent down, picked up Ethan's hat, and smiled. Then, with a simple but unforgettable gesture, the president placed the hat back on Ethan's head. He even gave Ethan a reassuring pat on the arm, as if to calm his nerves and lift his spirits. Ethan was stunned. Rather than receiving harsh criticism, he was met with a moment of grace and humanity that would remain etched in his memory forever. Ethan's emotions were overwhelming, hard to put into words. He had expected to face an embarrassing moment that would stay with him forever. But instead, he received respect and understanding from the very person he had only ever known through the media. The praise and reassurance from President Trump filled him with joy and surprise. It was a moment Ethan would never forget, not only because it marked a special event in his life, but also because it taught him a lesson in respect and dignity, especially in the toughest of situations. That evening, when he returned to his quarters, Ethan was surprised to learn that someone had captured the incident on camera and shared it online. Within hours, the video went viral, amassing millions of views. The image of the president chasing after the hat in the winds, then gently placing it back on Ethan's head, touched viewers everywhere. A small gesture, a big heart, was a common comment under the video. People saw not only the humor and humility of the president, but also the spirit of solidarity and respect for every soldier. Media commentators and political experts quickly joined the debate. Some praised the president's action as a display of humanity and rare warmth from a powerful leader. Others were skeptical, suggesting it might have been a staged moment aimed at generating positive publicity. However, despite differing opinions, everyone agreed that the gesture left a lasting impression, showing a rare down-to-earth side of the president. Social media exploded. The images and video of the event spread quickly, garnering millions of views and shares. The comment sections were filled with everything from heartfelt appreciation to humorous remarks. Some people wrote, "The president proved that no matter the position, respect for others is essential." Meanwhile, humorous memes about the president chasing the hat flooded the internet, turning the moment into a heartwarming and funny story. For Ethan, it felt like a dream. As a soldier trained to follow protocol and maintain a professional demeanor, he never imagined he would become the center of such a viral story. When he returned to base, he received countless congratulations from his fellow soldiers, superiors, and even his family. As soon as he got home, Ethan received a call from his parents. Their voices were filled with pride as they told him they had watched the video multiple times on TV. His father, usually strict, couldn't hide his emotion. "Son, you've made the family proud, and you've inspired millions," he said. His mother kept talking about how the president had chosen to bend down for Ethan, calling it a historic moment. In the days that followed, Ethan felt both proud and humbled as he received hundreds of encouraging messages from friends, family, and even strangers. His commanders praised him for his composure and professionalism during the unexpected situation. But for Ethan, the most important takeaway wasn't the sudden fame. It was the profound lesson that the event brought. In that moment, amidst the fierce wind and the pressure of the mission, he realized that kindness and respect have no boundaries when it comes to position or power. The president, the leader of the nation, had taken the time to help a soldier, a simple act with an unexpected, far-reaching impact. Veterans, upon seeing the image of President Trump picking up Ethan's hat and placing it back on his head, were deeply moved. For them, it wasn't just a gesture, it was a powerful symbol of respect for those who serve or have served the country. The story transcended politics, resonating with people on a human level, a rare occurrence with powerful leaders. The image of the president bending down in the strong wind, gently placing the hat back on Ethan's head, became a symbol of compassion and respect. A simple act, yet one that touched the hearts of millions. It sent a strong message, even at the highest position. A leader can show gratitude and heartfelt appreciation for those who sacrifice for their country. The audience didn't just see a president, they saw a human being, relatable and humble. Many acknowledged that the image made them reflect on the meaning of humility and gratitude, values often overlooked in the grandeur of power. For Ethan, it was a moment he would never forget. Despite being a soldier with unshakable discipline,